What up, everybody? Illegit here, playing some no limit deuce to seven single draw tournament. As I've said before, I really enjoy this game, and think I have a big edge at it on my opponents who don't really seem to get it very well. I've played with, at this table, I've only played with Oververt, and the only time I've played with him is at this game, no limit deuce to seven, and he plays kind of goofy. Like earlier, someone raised, I re-raised with a draw to an 8, with the one card draw to an 8 in position, and he just shoved for 2,000. I can't really call. I had position on him, so one thing to note about this game is in no limit hold'em or like say pot limit Omaha, if you're calling it all in pre-flop. Position doesn't matter once someone's gone all in. In this game, it still does, because you get to see what they do first. So if I had my one card draw to an 8, let's say let's pretend I had a jack 8 instead. Let's say I had a jack 8 and a strong draw to a low 8. Let's say that okay, he does the overbet shove, and let's say I decide to call. I wouldn't do it for this many chips with jack 8, but let's pretend I did. If I'm out of position, I have to decide whether to pat or to draw one card without seeing what he does first. So I'm much less likely to call a re-raise shove out of position than I am in position. Where in other games, you don't even have to consider your position when you're calling it all in, because the betting's over. All you have to think about is your equity versus their hand range. So that's a kind of a wrinkle in this game that I think a lot of people don't understand. So, but if I was in position, then I might call with the jack 8, because even though it's not that strong a hand, I can see what he does, and if he draws one, then I can pat my jack 8 knowing that I'm a favorite over a one card draw. Or if he stands pat, then I can break my jack and have a draw to a strong 8, which will probably be good if I make it. So, in other words, position in this game is important even after all the betting's finished. So that's kind of different, which in some ways makes position even more important in this game than possibly in any other game. And different from 5-card draw, the number of cards someone draws is very indicative of the exact strength of their hand to a certain degree, especially in heads-up situations. In 5-card draw, you can do certain things that 5-card draw high, I'm talking about, that you can't do in this game. So the information you get from how many cards they draw is really telling and really precise in this game. They can't do much to trick you other than stand pat with a bad hand and bluff. Obviously they can do that, or things like that. Okay, we have a huge open, 10x open, and a huge reshove again. This is pretty terrible. Like this betting is just, it's really bad. I don't understand, especially when you raise 10 and then fold to a shove. I don't understand why people do it, and it seems like they do it in this game more than no limit hold'em, which I don't know if they think it's correct, because this is a different game. But I mean, you see goofy stuff in no limit hold'em, but generally, like a lot more often in this game. That is, in no limit hold'em, most people know to raise 3 times the big blind if they're the first one in, or maybe 4 times or 2.5 times, depending. But generally not 9 times the big blind, not 10 times, not betting 2,000 into 200, etc. I mean, that obviously happens, but I think more people are fundamentally sound at that game than they are at this game. But I don't know why that is. I don't know. Maybe these players are just really awful, and that's why they're doing it. That's very possible. But I also think that, like, they might even be good no limit players and know how bad that is in no limit, but think it's fundamentally sound to do it in this game for some reason when it's just not. All of the standard like opening raise sizes, 3-bet raise sizes, all that is in this game should be similar to no limit hold'em. You shouldn't be really changing anything as far as your bet sizing goes. There's some obvious exceptions, like if you know someone just like if you have a really extremely loose player behind you and you have a really strong hand, and you know this extremely loose player will just call with all kinds of hands, then making the oversized raise might be appropriate, because you know that they're going to call you with a bad hand. So say you have a made 8 low, and you see this guy's playing every single hand, so you make a I have a draw to a 10. I'm gonna call this guy in position. So what was I gonna say? Yeah, so in that case you might vary your raise size by just making a stupidly huge open, knowing that he's gonna call, and knowing that you have the best pat hand, and you're just trying to build a big pot. That's I'm gonna fold here, obviously. That's a notable exception to when your raise sizing might be different. And obviously there can be other exceptions, but generally you want to keep your raise sizing consistent, even against bad players. This hand's not good, because if I raise and get called and I play the hand for value, I'm gonna have to draw 2. And the game's playing really loose right now, so but this is a good bluffing hand actually. If it folds to me in the cutoff, I might raise and bluff it. But yeah, if that happens, then well, I think I might still try it just for the video's sake. This guy, he made a big over shove with a made 9 in position, which is not horrible, especially since he got called by a draw. So he might be competent, yeah. So I'm gonna pat against him here, because I have so many good low cards. Okay, and he drew 2, so I'm definitely gonna pat. Then yeah, he's just gonna check fold here, like very, very often. So yeah, so that's a perfect example of a bluffing spot. And also it exposes this guy as a really terrible player, because he limped, called raise out of position, and then drew 2, which is just atrocious. I don't care how good of a 2-card draw you have, that's not a good way to play it. You're much better raise folding it, or raising it, and if you don't get re-raised, then maybe depending on how many people call you and what your read on them is, maybe bluffing with it, or something like that. But limp calling is just bad. It's bad in all games. All big bet games, limp calling raises out of position. But especially when you have such a weak hand, which a 2-card draw out of position is an extremely weak hand, and it gives so much information to your opponent. Like me, I had 2 pair there, and I knew it didn't matter what I had there, except with the type of hand that I had, it made it really easy to bluff, because I had so many good cards that he couldn't catch to make a hand. Even if he drew 1, I could still profitably bluff there. But if he draws 2, he just makes it like so easy on me to bluff him, because he's just not going to make a hand often enough. And if he does make a hand and he check calls me, a lot of the times I won't be patting a hand like that. I mean, in that case, if he did make a decent low and he check called me, he would have had the best hand. But my point is, my range there for raising, patting in position, and then betting post flop is mostly all extremely strong hands. So he's basically just giving me money by playing the hand the way he did. Okay, now, in case you needed a reminder, the point of deuce to 7 is to make the worst hand flushes and straights do count against you. So no pairs, no big cards, no straights, no flushes. and an ace counts as high. So it's a fairly simple game. The more big cards you have, the worse. Like, this is a pretty unplayable hand, obviously. Yep. Anyways, I might check back with y'all later, but that's the deuce to 7 video. Thanks. Peace.